Hi everybody, this is Arkady Frehktman. I'm a New York City personal injury trial attorney, but today I'm coming to you from sunny Florida, where I'm here for the weekend, and I'm actually going back later tonight, flying back to New York. So the rest of the week I'll try to do another live and we could do some more videos, but I thought I would do one before I head for the airport and maybe do a quick last week tonight where we answer your questions and we talk about your comments. Because, you know, different people interact with us in different ways. Some people like to, go on our lives and ask us questions and we answer questions right there. Other people prefer to leave us a comment on our YouTube channel, and both are fine. And so I want to keep both going, the lives where I answer your questions live, as well as the recorded last week tonight's where I go through your comments. And that's what we're going to do now. We're going to go through your comments. So let's go through a few of these comments. And look, here's a comment right here that came in just 26 minutes ago, and it's from a shaman. And he says, I'm going through a situation where I feel like my story will be the definitive factor. I had a rear end collision, not a crazy amount of damage, but there was damage to both vehicles. I had a pre-existing back injury that got aggravated, and I had a 2-level spinal fusion a few months back. I'm still struggling to recover, maybe because I'm 6'7" and weigh 300 pounds. I heal differently. Anyway, I watch all of your videos and they bring me comfort and faith. They bring me comfort and faith. I just hope a jury looks at the entire picture and not just the damage done to our vehicles, but the damage done to my life. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. First of all, I'm so sorry to hear that you had this serious injury. I mean, obviously that's a spinal fusion is a serious injury. But yeah, exactly. So I think I totally agree with you. The fact that you had this serious life-changing injury, what a good trial lawyer would do is take a look at your life, take a look at your friends, co-workers, neighbors, other people in your life, and paint a picture of how your life changed. What was your life before this happened? What is your life now? How has your life changed? You know, that's really, really the important thing to do. You don't want to base the case only on like medical records or only on injuries, but a 2-level spinal fusion is a serious life-changing injury, so it could be worth a lot of money. It sounds like a multi-million-dollar case. It could easily be worth, $2 million or more. Now, a lot of things still, I don't know. For example, where did this happen? What's the date of the crash? What's your pre-existing? I want to know, look at those medical records, do a deep dive. But what you could do is you could just text me, 347-566-9595, and that way we could set up a time for a personal consultation, and it's always free and it's always confidential. I just did one yesterday, in fact, from Florida, so I'm happy to do it. We do them nationwide, and then if it's in New York and I can help you, I'm happy to help, as many people as I can. If it's somewhere else, what I do is I find the best trial lawyer, and then that trial lawyer could perhaps help you if you need a lawyer. Sometimes I just tell people, look, it sounds like you're in good hands, stay with your lawyer. Or sometimes, an accident just happens and someone needs a lawyer because something just happened, a few days ago. So whatever situation you're in, we're happy to help in any way we can. Okay, here's another question, and this is in response to a video about open reduction and internal fixation, fracture in a slip and fall. And it's from the Saint. And he or she says, my lawyer told me Walmart only wants to pay my medical bills and doesn't want to put any money in my pocket. What should I do? Well, yeah, I mean, what you need to do is you have to understand that the Walmart is a big, billion-dollar company. Of course, they don't want to give away their money. So what you have to do is get a trial lawyer, and the trial lawyer has to litigate the case in a way, like we just talked about, right? Showing the overall damage to your life, how this is a life-changing forever injury, and then you could obtain perhaps millions and millions of dollars. You'll get your medical bills, you can get your future medical bills, you can get your past medical bills, you can get your lost wages, but most importantly, the biggest category should always be the non-economic damages, which are the pain and suffering, past and future. So that's, you got to make them pay. They don't want to pay. Well, nobody wants to pay. You got to make them pay. That's the job of a good trial lawyer. Okay, and here's a question. When does a personal injury case usually settle? And David Trend says, this was really informative. My lawyer sent me a question and answer from the defendants and also a questionnaire asking about lost wages and medical treatment. I'm assuming the defendants are getting ready to settle. I never really ask my lawyer questions. I just go with the flow. Well, that's not good. You should ask your lawyer questions. Remember, your lawyer is your guide. You're paying them, whether it's, you're probably paying them on a contingency, but that's still a big amount, right? If they win $1 million for you, they're going to get $300,000, make them earn the $300,000. Ask them questions. Absolutely. It's very important to ask them questions. And also, look, yeah, it could be that they're asking you these things because they are getting ready to settle, but more likely, probably the lawyer filed a lawsuit or they're beginning the litigation claim process, and they need to know these things, right? This is basic stuff. They need to know how much lost salary you're going to claim. They need to know your medical treatment because they need to get all your medical records, and they need to provide that to the defendant. So in New York, we have something known as a bill of particulars. So the defendants will actually ask us these questions, like, what are the injuries you're claiming? And you list all the injuries. In other states, there might be interrogatories. So probably the paralegal got these interrogatories. They don't know how to answer them, right? Because the paralegal doesn't know your medical treatment, doesn't know when you went back to work, if you went back to work at all, or what your salary was. So the paralegal's asking you just to fill that in. But it's a good sign. It means the case is moving along. So it's nothing bad. Okay, and then here's another question from a Richard. He says, I missed your video. I just settled and need to put MSA aside. Does that money go into a personal account that I have, or is it a special account? Oh, I see. So a Medicare set-aside? Yeah, a Medicare set-aside, I think that should be a special account. There are some companies that deal with that, like structured settlement companies and other companies that will help you with the Medicare set-aside. So that's an amount you set aside to pay liens like Medicare. No, that can't be your personal account. Okay, here's another question from Asinko Asar. And hello, can you please do a scapholunate ligament tear settlement in Queens? Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I have to go to the database and research that, but I'm happy to do it. I'll research it and I'll do a video about that. I don't know how common that is. That would be interesting for other people. But scapholunate ligament tear. I know. I'll tell you right now, look, it'll really depend on not just the fact that you have a ligament tear, right? But what would really depend on is whether you needed surgery for the ligament tear, how that ligament tear affected your life. Like, how did it change your life? What were you able to do before? And how are you not able to do it now after the crash that you have this scapholunate ligament tear? So it's, again, remember, procedures don't have any value. It's about how it impacted your life. For example, if I had a knee surgery, right, and it's a meniscus tear, one person might have a meniscus tear, be out for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they're totally fine again, like an NFL quarterback. They're out there throwing the football after a meniscus surgery. They're fine. You're not going to play in an NFL game if you're not fine. Someone else might have a meniscus tear because they're more vulnerable, they're older, they have other health issues, and it might be completely debilitating. They might need to use a walker or a cane or even be in a wheelchair. They might have pain a year later when they walk. So you got to ask yourself, what do you love, right? What do you love to do? How do you love to spend your time, whether it's work, whether it's social things like going to the beach, going on vacations, whatever it is, and how has it affected your life? And also, who do you love? Who's important in your life? Do you have family? Do you have friends? Who do you spend your time with? It could be coworkers, and then really paint a picture, get those people, exchange them, neighbors, coworkers. You really have to paint a picture of what this loss is, right? Because it's basically, they're putting money on your harms and losses. So if you show a little bit of harms and losses, you get a little bit of money. If you show a lot of harms and losses, hey, this is a life-changing forever injury, well, you're gonna get a lot of money, like millions and millions of dollars, because this is a life-changing forever injury. So again, it's not about, scapholunate. Honestly, I don't even have to look up what that is. I don't even remember off the top of my head what part of the body that is. It doesn't matter, you could make the scapholunate ligament tear big, or you could make it small. It just depends on how you prepare it and how you structure it. But if you're just out there researching, like, what have other people gotten for it, okay, that's what other people have done, but maybe the other people didn't do what I'm suggesting, right? They just went into court and they boringly read from a book, scapholunate ligament tear, and they got $20,000 for it, for example. Doesn't mean you have to get $20,000. You don't have to listen to what other people did. You don't have to repeat their mistakes. So I'm happy to do the search, but it's really about how you paint a picture and the overall damages to a person's life. I hope that's really, really important. Okay, and here's another comment to serious injury, but pain and suffering verdict is 0. Oh, yeah, this is like a short that I did about a case that I tried. This case I tried like, 6 or 7 years ago. This is actually the first case I tried after taking a break. I wasn't trying cases. I was running my office for like 10 years, like a decade. And then I said, you know what? I'm bored of sitting here in this office looking at the screen. I want to get back in the courtroom again. So like, I went back and this is one of the first cases I tried. So I was a little bit rusty, and, and I got a 0 pain and suffering, but I got $250,000 for lost wages. And so the person in that particular situation, it was a real minor fender bender. There was like no damage to the car. So I didn't want the photos of the car to go into evidence because there's really no damage. It looked like there was no accident, like nothing happened. And I don't even know why they gave no pain and suffering. The guy had a lot of different injuries. I mean, honestly, some of the injuries probably were not from this little fender bender. Some of the injuries probably were unrelated. Just, he was an older guy and he had a lot of stuff. Like he had a hip issue. I don't think the hip issue was from this tiny little fender bender. But the important point was that he was a TSA worker, right, at the airport, a security worker, Homeland Security. And that was like his sense of who he was. That defined who he was as a human being, as a person. That was, he wasn't married, he didn't have kids, he was like living alone. But that's who he was. He was a TSA Homeland Security officer. And then he could never do that again. He got fired. So, we got $250 for lost wages. It doesn't really matter what category they give it because that's all they had, right? That was the entire policy. So we got everything we could get. If we'd gotten like, $1 million for pain and suffering, we still would have gotten the $250 because that's all there was. But he's saying he doesn't agree with this. And there have been studies and situations that have shown that crashes at low speeds with little to no damage can cause disc bulges and herniations. And he thinks it's unjust for that alone to determine all the pain and suffering. And he thinks it's a conservative decision. Yeah, I mean, look, actually, this is the same person, Shimon, the same guy, I guess the 6'7", 300-pound guy. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, you're preaching to the choir, of course. And I even did other videos. I don't know if I could remember the links right now, but I did other videos where I talk about property damage and how to deal with it. There are different ways to deal with it. But the reason it's important is because a common person, right, that gets a jury summons and says, hey, become a juror, they might think that, right? Because they're just an everyday person. They might think, well, if there's no damage to the car, you couldn't have gotten hurt. So it's just a common misconception, but you have to be able to deal with it. One way you could deal with it is to give an example of a supermarket and say, like, when you go to the supermarket, you get eggs, right? And when you buy the eggs, most people like open up the carton, make sure that the eggs are not broken. But look, it's inside the carton, right? And the carton's not damaged. So if the carton's not damaged and the eggs are inside, why do people open them up? How could the eggs get broken, right? If the carton's in good shape, the egg carton. So that's the same thing, right? You could still get hurt, obviously, inside a car, even if there's little to no visible property damage. And there's other things. There's a lawyer who does it with a chair, where he runs across a courtroom and he kicks the chair, then he shows the chair and he says, look, there's no damage to the chair, but you're saying if somebody was sitting in that chair, they wouldn't get hurt. And that, there's other ways to do it. There's a few different strategies, but so I don't worry too much about property damage, but it's just one of the things you have to deal with. Okay, here's another question. Such a shame that insurance companies won't pay fair value for a case unless the doctors have to cut on you. In my opinion, even a soft tissue injury caused by the fault of another can have a life-altering effect and is deserving of fair compensation. Thank you for all your amazing content. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I totally agree. Again, you're preaching to the choir. I totally agree with you. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, they don't have to cut on you. Like, I recently did a video just a few weeks ago. You could look in the video history, a $3 million verdict for a soft tissue injury. And this was in Colorado, which is a conservative jurisdiction. So you could get big money on soft tissue. You just have to be willing to go for it, not be afraid, and try the case. Let's see, what other comments? Viral Guy says, I'm here every video. You're the realist. Thank you. Someone says, my spinal cord injuries, all my spine. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's a serious, spinal cord injury is serious. Shaq says, if I were in a car accident outside of work, which caused a herniated disc, so because of it, I could no longer handle my job duties. I lost my job. But during recovery, another job calls to hire me at a higher pay. But I had to turn that down because it's difficult for me to bend and twist my body, stiffness in my back and neck. Can I sue for the future lost wages on the new job that I missed out on because of my injuries to the neck and back? The accident happened in New Jersey. Yeah, you totally can. So basically, you just have to be able to show that you lost your job because of your injury. So the doctor would have to say, look, these injuries are caused by the crash, and of course, he can't work. He's unable to work medically. And plus you have to testify that, you tried to go back to work, but you couldn't. You had pain, and that should be sufficient. And then to calculate all the wages, you just get an economist. So it's fairly straightforward. Actually, you could probably even argue that, you had a better job, a higher paying job, so you lost that. So it's almost like a lost opportunity, right? It's an opportunity that you lost, because you wouldn't have necessarily always been at the lower paying job. Had the accident not happened, you would have been able to take the higher paying job. And it's actually good that you were offered it, because you can say, look, I was offered the position. So, and then maybe after that, you would have stair-stepped on even for other opportunities, financial opportunities that are higher. So I think that's a good thing. You should be able to show that. Okay, let's see what other questions we have. Project says, dumb lawyers have all these huge billboards and only care about money. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I did many videos where I don't like the billboard lawyers. I said most billboard lawyers are not trial lawyers. Most billboard lawyers are just out there marketing, putting up a billboard. Have you been injured? They want to take your case. They want to settle it. It's a mill. I don't recommend it. And, and he actually says, I just had something happen against them. Here's why. Oh, I see. He has something against billboard lawyers, and here's why he doesn't like them. He said, some of my relatives were driving back from the movies at 5 p.m. They stopped at a red light, and this lady came ramming through them and totaled their car. 2 girls, 4 cars up, said their necks hurt, and they went to the hospital, even though they were much farther away from the general accident. The lady who rammed through didn't have enough insurance money, so they sued my relatives when they were the ones who got hit from behind and shouldn't have been the ones who had to pay for all the damage. I think the system is messed up. Yeah, I mean, that sounds a little bit unfair. I mean, they're not going to get very far. I mean, what are they going to sue them for? They're stopped like 4 cars in front, so it's like a domino. It's like a chain reaction. I mean, you never know. Maybe the girls in that car, you said, look, they were further up. They shouldn't have been hurt. But that's the same as saying, like, the low property damage doesn't cause injuries, right? You don't know. Sometimes people are in a car, 2 people are in a car, one person gets killed, and the other person walks away without a scratch, right? You never know who's going to get hurt. So you can't really guess or speculate as to whether those girls 4 cars up were hurt. But what you don't like is that your relatives are being sued when your relatives didn't do anything wrong. And I agree, that's unfair. But I don't know what lawyer is suing a car that stopped that is part of a domino in front of your car. I mean, maybe it's just a bad lawyer. I don't know. I mean, you could sue them. You could sue anybody, right? I can go and sue, a ham sandwich. I could sue anybody. But, it's a waste of time. It's going to get dismissed. If they're stopped and they're at a red light, they're going to get dismissed. And that's why they have insurance, right? So their insurance is going to assign them a lawyer. It's going to defend them. So they're in good hands, whoever they have, Allstate or State Farm. It doesn't matter. They're not going to, I mean, maybe the insurance companies pay them like $1,500 just to get out of the case, but they're not going to lose any money. It's going to be the insurance company, and most likely the insurance company will just get the case dismissed. So you have nothing to worry about there. But I agree with you about billboard lawyers. I don't like billboard lawyers. Okay, how much? Truck accident lawsuit and settlement value. Hi, my family and I were hit on the driver's side and knocked into a guardrail by a tractor and trailer. There are no broken bones. We were rushed to the ER where they did a CAT scan, MRI, x-rays, and found nothing. However, we've all been experiencing pain. My mother has been having blurred vision. I have experienced sharp pain in my leg and back. How much is this case worth? How do I go about this? Yeah, well, what I would recommend is just, getting a local trial lawyer. You could text me, 347-566-9595. Get a local trial lawyer, but a real trial lawyer. Don't get a billboard lawyer. And, make sure they work up the case. Like, what I would recommend in something like that is, look, you don't have to have broken bones. It could be worth more than broken bones, right? Because broken bones, let's say you have a metatarsal fracture or even like a wrist fracture. It heals and then you're fine. So it has a limited value, whether it's 50 or 100 or whatever. But if you have something like this, like blurred vision, that could be a sign of a brain injury. A brain injury is something that is permanent and it never goes away, and that could be worth millions, right? So this could be worth more than the broken bone case. Don't fall for that broken bones thing. I think that whole thing is like a spin that the insurance companies want to put on things so that people who have serious injuries don't, get treatment. They want to put out this false information that you could only make money from broken bones. I wouldn't buy into that at all. So yeah, blurred vision, that's really serious. Sharp pains in the leg and back, like, you have to I would get treatment. That's the most important thing. Get treatment, find out why that's happening. Okay, let's see, let's do 1 or 2 more questions. Oh, here's a question about how long versus how much. How long does a case take versus how much do you get? And Bear says, awesome perspective and insight. It's been 7 months and my lawyer hasn't informed me with any information. I spoke with his aide and it sounded like she was trying to come up with something which was absolutely nothing. I'm being patient though, but I have a bad feeling that something's not right. Thanks for sharing your information. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's not good if you're not getting any information and you feel like you're being tricked. But again, like, you know, if you need a consultation, just text me, 347-566-9595. You know, every lawyer is different, just like anything, right? Like all the restaurants are different. Sometimes you go to like a nice restaurant and you get a nice meal, but it's like a 5-star restaurant, you know, white tablecloth, and they do whatever, filet mignon or the fish, or, you know, really good quality. And you pay a little more for it. And then there's McDonald's, you know, McDonald's gives you like a burger, and it may be sitting there under the light for like hours, and it's not as healthy, and it has processed chemicals in it. It's not organic, it's not from the farm. It's bad for your health. It's the same thing, right? But that burger cost you $5, but then the restaurant cost you, I don't know, maybe $200, right? But the beauty here about personal injury is that you pay the same, right? Whether you get that whatever the best restaurant, like the Le Bernardin or whatever the best restaurant is in the world, the Danielle or whatever, or you go to like McDonald's or White Castle, you pay the same. You just pay a third, right? Usually a third. Some states charge 40%, but usually it's a third, 33% to the lawyer. So why not get the best lawyer if you're just going to pay a third? Why pay a third to the White Castle guy who's going to get you 2 cents on the dollar, never return your calls, never speak to you, when you can pay the same third, 33% to the best trial lawyer who's going to get you millions and millions of dollars. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Let us know what other questions you have. We are here for you. Our goal is helping serious injury victims and families, and we will talk to you very soon. Please like and subscribe to our channel, and we are here for you. All the best.